The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys! Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024, season 20, episode number 50. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from SWBC Mortgage Studios. At the start, you turned too quick, Nick. Should have stayed looking at the other camera.
I don't know.
You turned too quick.
I feel like it's 3 seconds in the lane. Like you in and you out. Let's
Gotta
go.
get out.
Get going.
I stayed an extra second just to make sure. So
Thank you.
There we
Thank
go,
you,
Tommy.
Setting the example. Love it.
Yeah, and the referee would have called a penalty on you.
We're presented
call
by
that in the NBA
LG.
anymore.
LG is the world's
Sure, they'll
number
call
one
that.
OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo. Welcome to the show. We got our mix-up show still happening today. It's our final show of the week. Before we'll get a little bit of a break. Nice time to have a bye. There's
Yeah,
lots
perfect
swirling
timing.
right now, so it's a good time for us to take a little break. It's a good time for everybody to take a break, go to your corners,
Yes.
and let's
Yes.
just see where we land come Monday, getting ready for San Francisco. There was a lot of news around the NFL yesterday. There was a bevy of moves that were happening, big moves. Teams trading wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, both being traded to other teams. Jerry made it clear earlier this week, and I know, Nick, you've seen this report, but he made it clear earlier this week that they're not going to be expecting to be players in this, whatever's going to happen before the trade deadline. Here's a question I have for you guys, because as I started thinking about this, I think there are kind of two ways you can look at this. What's more valuable to this team? Draft capital or a big-time player that they could possibly go out and trade for that they think would change the trajectory of where they are this season and where they can go?
I think a big player, just because for draft pick, it's because you still have to develop the player. If we want impact right now and be able to go somewhere with this team, I think it's now is the time, which means getting a big player off season.
I would say draft capital, because if you get the player, and I've said this, if you're going to draft for a player, it's got to be somebody that'll be here longer than a year. So if you're going to just rent the player for this year, I don't know. Especially a receiver. Receiver's tough. They don't always come in right and understand what, the terminology and all this kind of stuff. So how long are you getting the player for? I think what made it work for the Jets, I don't know about Amari Cooper, but what works for the Jets is that terminology that Aaron Rodgers uses and the connection he's got with Devontae Adams. I think that they can maybe speed up that process. But for me, knowing what they're going to have next year, it's going to be, they just don't have a lot of players that are going to be here on the salary cap. They need as much draft picks as they can get.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. I think my philosophy in general is just you build through the draft, right? It doesn't matter where you are as an organization. That capital is so important because you can build guys in through your system from start to finish, not have to make that adjustment that you were talking about.
Right.
I mean, it's nice to get a veteran, experienced guy who's played.
I know you'll never agree with me.
I think we were pretty across the board unanimous yesterday, right?
But
No, exactly. I see what you're saying.
Just to wrap that up, like having the younger guys building, you think about the young guys that are already playing for the Cowboys. If you get those guys experience, you get those guys snaps, you keep building through the draft, you're going to be looking at a really solid veteran group here.
But how long do we have to wait for that?
Right. And that's the question.
Always the problem.
And that's the thing. I think there are some teams, like, for instance, like Buffalo. I think Buffalo's 4-2. They look like a different 4-2 than the Cowboys 3-3. I mean, and I think that where they are right now, if they were to get Amari Cooper, that seems like that he's a piece that they've been missing. The Cowboys, I think, have more than one piece right now that they would need.
This is true,
and that's where that's why I think for the Cowboys, I don't know if it makes as much sense.
Yeah, and that's I guess where I want to go with this is when you look at this team, if they're as you evaluate it right now, where are the areas that you would say they need to upgrade this if they want to have any success this season? Like, what are those positions right now?
Probably defensive tackle would be one for me.
Yeah.
And that's, not to take a shot at anybody in that room already, but they're just not getting any sort of push up front in the run game.
Actually moving backwards.
Exactly.
oftentimes,
They are getting pushed, and that can't happen. You need an anchor in the middle of that defensive line. I think Osa's had some really good games this year. Mozzie had one of his better games a couple of weeks ago against New York. But you need that consistency, right? You need an anchor there in the middle of the defensive line. I think if you look ahead to this draft, it's a really good class for defensive tackles. So this might be a good year for the Cowboys, maybe to use one of those early round picks on a defensive tackle to bolster that line. But I think that's where it starts, because if you stop the
Early
run,
round, huh?
Early round, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's where the Cowboys are picking, huh? Early round. Like, you've already got it.
We already know.
Okay, so
No, you said early round, not early in the
Not
in the
early
round.
in the round.
You said early round.
See,
I'm
you're
kidding.
trying to
Tommy knows something
trying
we
to get
don't.
me in
Messy,
trouble.
man.
I'm trying to get me in trouble here.
Messy.
It was his first or second round pick. Does that make it
There we go.
more
I'm
clear?
kidding. No, I was joking.
I'll just stop.
Because I'm with you. I was with you. I was like, top 15. Where are they going to pick? No. You know what I wonder? And we don't see this in practice. Because you said they don't get any push. They don't get any push. I'd make the same argument about the offensive line. So my question is, who wins out in practice?
What did you see at training camp?
I don't know. I mean, they don't really. It's not like, I don't know. It's not like really going at it like live practice. But I'm like, the offensive line is not pushing, and creating a lot of run opportunities, and the defensive line is getting pushed back. So in practice, I mean, I want to know, is that like a good battle out there, good matchup? It's not good for the games because they're both struggling. But in practice, I bet they're like, we had a good day. It was back and forth. It was really good competitive, but neither one of them seemed to be at the standard of what they need.
Yeah, I'm with both y'all, both the defensive line and offensive line. There's pieces that we need.
I said that on this last show, the storyline. Since you had me do double dip, I'll say that if you're big and you're strong and you can push people around, that's who they need. Offense, defense, that's fine.
Yeah, but here's
is there
also
a Travis Hunter of a lineman that can do both?
Yeah,
Is
that'd be
that
great.
that guy?
Yeah.
I
I
want
don't
that
think,
guy.
but
sides.
that'd be great. But here's also the
man,
thing:
how
like, are
valuable
they?
would he be?
I know, right? Are they? I don't think that, because I don't even put I don't put offensive line in that same category, because I don't know that right now the Cowboys would, even if that player was somehow available to them where they could go and get him. I'm not sure they would want to take out one of the starting five to put that guy in, because as we talked about yesterday, I think we all at least agree the best five offensive linemen may not be the starting five, and for valid reasons, right? If that's the case, do you think they're really going to go out and get somebody and replace one of these guys? Because I think they have a vision for each of these guys. They've paid one guy still that they're going to keep in there. I don't think they're moving him out of there, but that's been an area where they've had some inconsistencies. Zach Martin ain't going anywhere for this year, but there's been a place where they've had some inconsistencies. The rookie center and the rookie left tackle, you put him out there and you know that there's going to be some growing pains, so they're not going to change those because you're developing them. And obviously the left guard's the best offensive lineman you got. So offensive line, I throw out when I say if you were going to look at a position. I don't even look at that because that wouldn't be one that you would change out. Talked about defensive tackle. Is running back in that mix?
Yeah.
Is wide receiver in that mix? But the question becomes, is there a single player that you go out and spend draft capital on that all of a sudden now your team goes from where they are right now, where they're 3-3 and everybody's kind of like, I don't know, the wheels seem a little wobbly, to, oh, wow, this team can really compete in the NFC against the better teams in the NFC.
Yeah, to me, that position is usually defensive end. A player that can just come in and wreck a game. And I don't know if they're going to do that. That's a lot of draft capital to go get certain guys that are.
I would love that, though.
Yeah, that would be great. And Micah Parsons would love that too. Because they keep losing. You keep losing, pass rushers. But I just don't. There's not a lot of positions you could say that guy changes a lot. It's usually. Maybe a great cornerback would, or
a great receiver would, but I think that's also the thing. Like,
You
do you
paid
give
for
up
that.
all? Yeah, do you
Yeah.
give up all that draft capital to get what would effectively be a second wide receiver? Like that's where it gets a little bit challenging. You give up some draft pick, you give up a draft pick or multiple draft picks. You probably got to pay that guy, so now you've added to the amount on a cap that already is struggling a bit.
Right.
What does that? Does that really make sense? Does that really help you in the long term?
Yeah, I don't think
No.
so.
And one
No,
position I think definitely not is running back, because we know we can get a free agent running back. So many running backs now, you don't need to have like a first round or second round running back anymore. I think that the league's kind of shown that now you can get a free agent. You can get someone that's not even in the draft that's high, that makes a difference.
I wish they would have gotten somebody though in the draft this year. They didn't, and even the free agent that they pick up was like not even a starter at his school in Missouri. So like they really didn't address that position. They tried to, or at least they said they tried to, but with all those picks, I thought somebody they would have picked up there, and that's what I'm looking at. I look at the practice squad right now. If I was the Cowboys, other teams' practice squads, there's young running backs probably out there. I would do that. If you're not going to use your own guy, who's
Just
for whatever the reason, Dalvin Cook is there. But I mean, I think it's time to kind of look at something. But I still think it's the guys up front. If you don't get them blocked, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's not going to matter who you throw out there if the offensive line's not getting any push. So I agree with Derek. I don't think you look at offensive line as a position where, hey, we need to draft a guy, or hey, we need to go pick somebody up, because the 5 that they've got out there, it's been clear with everything that's been said this week, they're going to ride with those 5 guys and just wait till they put it together, right? Just get some continuity out there. And so once that happens, maybe the run game starts to open up, and maybe the guys they do have start to show you what they showed you in Pittsburgh, right? When Rico Dowdle gets 20 touches and gets 87 yards, maybe you start to see that stack. But right now, it's just they're not putting it together. There's no continuity the last 2 games. So
the consistency.
It gets difficult.
Yeah, we're going to take our first break a little early here, but when we come back, I actually want to dive into that topic a little bit more and talk about the running backs and ask you guys the question, which of the running backs, Hunter Lipke, Rico Dowdle, or Dalvin Cook, do you think the Cowboys should commit to and be willing to really ride and give an opportunity to really be your lead running back? We'll talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
All right, LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. So see for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the start. The segment brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, so let's talk about the running back position. On the break, we've been talking a lot about the running back position, more from the standpoint, and this goes back to training camp. Brian and I both have a theory. Brian Broaddus and I both have the theory that if Dallas would just commit to Rico Dowdle, he could be successful in this offense as the lead running back. Their running game may not be great, but it certainly would be serviceable. My question for you guys is, do you guys agree with that premise? And is he the guy that you would do that with, or would it be someone like a Hunter Lipke, or would it be someone like a Dalvin Cook? So it's kind of a two-part question. Do you agree with the premise? And two, who should be that guy?
I do not agree with that premise. I think that most teams in the league have two backs, and I think the Cowboys are using two backs with Rico and Zeke. I don't think either one of them are good enough to be the lead guy. I don't think Rico is. I think he's solid. I think Rico would be a solid number 2. But I don't think you have that lead back right now. So, I mean, even in the game he had against Pittsburgh, 87 yards. That's not something that you would be too excited about. I just think,
unless you're the starving man who just got a saltine cracker.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh gosh, that was so good.
Yes.
It was
really, really good.
It was. And so,
I like that analogy.
I'm just saying,
right?
It's really, really good.
Right, and that's fine. But he's not going to get fat on that. You know what I mean? It's just like you need another one, and you need to put some. Well, I'm just saying, like that's fine.
Yeah.
But he's not going to go into sumo wrestling just because he had a couple of saltine crackers. So, like that doesn't help the problem.
Fair.
But he seems to be the guy that we have right now, right?
Right,
So that's
yes,
what we have
that's what all you
That's what we
got.
have to work with,
it's your
right?
saltine cracker.
He's not an every down back, but that's what we got. But at the same time, like I love Hunter Lipke. I think he's just a versatile back. He can play the F, the Y, the H, backfield slot, everything. And then you could see that Dak has a lot of confidence in him in third down situations. So I love him. I know that he wouldn't be the solution to the problems. And then Dalvin Cook doesn't seem to even be in the equation, right? So I think we just have to go with Rico.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Rico's your guy. Not an every down guy,
Yeah.
obviously. I think in those short yardage situations, you look at Zeke, you look at Hunter Lipke, probably Hunter Lipke over Zeke
Yeah,
right
I
now,
think
if
so
I'm being
too.
honest. But when you look at Rico, he's averaging north of 4 yards a carry every time he touches the ball, every game that he's played. You're keeping the offense on schedule doing that. It's what I've said before. He's just not getting touches. And when he did get touches, you saw what he did. Sure, 87 yards doesn't blow you out of the water. But when you went back and watched the second half of that Pittsburgh game, he was moving around.
Yeah.
He's establishing the run for this team like we hadn't seen all season before.
What's impressive of the 4 yards of carry is that there's no 39-yarder that's like messing up there's nothing longer than a 13-yard run.
Exactly.
By the entire team this year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that tells you even more about how productive he's being just in those steady production,
Yes.
4 or 5 yards,
Exactly. It's all about keeping your offense on schedule, right? One of the things that Mike McCarthy said he was so happy about in that Pittsburgh game was setting themselves up. It was the best they played on first and second down. They're setting themselves up in third and short, third and manageable situations. Whereas you look at some of the other games this year, you've got 3rd and 9, 10, 11 constantly just because guys are getting pushed back, tackles for loss, things like that. So if you're setting up the run well with Rico, why turn away from it? Just give him touches.
Yeah, and I'll be clear. I wasn't saying he should be the every down back because I think it's clear Hunter Lipke has I think done a good job as the third down back.
Exactly.
I think they should actually find ways to give him more opportunities to
I
get the ball in
agree,
his hand
big
because I think he's the kind of guy that I liken him to somebody like Juszczyk in San Francisco. He's not just a blocking fullback. He's a guy that you can give the ball and trust him with the ball and throw passes to him and do things that can kind of create mismatch issues for the defense. But that being said, I do think Rico is the guy that if you committed to him as being the guy that was going to get the majority of the touches and you use the other backs to spell him when he needs to be spelled rather than I'm going to take this series and run somebody else out there or whatever the case might be. I think if you did that, I think you'd probably get more out of your running game than what you're getting right now. Again, may not be great, but it certainly, I think, would be serviceable for this offense. And right now, what they need
I like that word, serviceable.
And that's what they need right now. They need just a respectable running game where defenses are like, we have to at least respect it.
Because right now they don't.
Right. All right. I don't think many defenses are, and I think that's part of what you're seeing in the passing game and the struggles there. Is I don't think defenses think about the running game as something that can hurt them. You said it, 13 yards is the most you've gotten on the ground.
Right. That's long. Yeah. There's no juice there. Yeah.
Right. All right. Next question I have for you guys: should Jalen Tolbert continue to be the wide receiver 2 when Cooks returns?
No.
Yeah, I say no.
I say no to that. But this is okay because your second and your third receiver, like they play a lot.
They do. He plays a lot.
I'm fine with that. There's not like it's the third guy now is creeping in to like to change all that. I mean, like, would it be Brooks? I mean, or Flanoy or
Brooks probably.
Turpin. I mean, Turpin's kind of a unique player.
I love what he's doing.
Yeah, and he's still going to do all that.
Right.
So
that doesn't change.
That's not going to change. So no, I mean, receiver 2, receiver 3. That's not a huge difference for me. So I would probably put Cooks back into the same role. But I think they got to use Cooks differently.
But that's the question. Have you seen an appreciable difference in the offense without Cooks versus with Cooks?
Doesn't Tolbert have more red zone targets? I mean, I know obviously Cooks has been hurt, but doesn't he?
I think the point I'm making is Jalen Brooks. I don't need Jalen Brooks to take any of theirs away. So it's fine. If it's going to be Cooks, it's 2, Tolbert is 2. That doesn't really matter because I think 3 guys still play a lot. So those are the 3. It doesn't matter to me. It's kind of like cornerback where it doesn't matter who's the start, second, third, they're all going to play. Yeah. So that's fine. It's not the 4th guy though. I don't think Cooks goes to the 4th spot. So if he's the 3, that's fine. You still need him. You still need to get him down the field more though. Don't run the routes they've been running with him. Get him a little bit more vertical, which is what we've seen with Tolbert too. Tolbert's making some plays when he can see the ball.
Yeah, no,
messy, man.
Yeah,
so messy.
He's on one today.
He is. Today. No, not today. His whole life.
His
whole life.
But
and then he has no emotion. Just looked.
Yeah, especially.
I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't
Turn
understand.
the gas up a little bit.
I kind of miss it, but I don't. Like,
that's good.
Because then you got to come
implier.
the fire
And it's fresh for me. I like it.
Right. No, I'm with you. I think that the gap between 2 and 3 is not as large as maybe some folks think it is. I think Brandon Cooks obviously brings you that veteran experience, and he's been in the offense for quite some time now. But Jalen Tolbert's shown you that he can give you wide receiver 2 production, right? It's not consistent, but he's shown you that he can do it. And so if that means, you lessen your targets to him, but he makes them count in that 3rd wide receiver spot, and you're getting Brandon Cooks involved, your offense is going to be fine. This is an offense we know is going to throw the ball around a lot. So the more options you've got to throw it to that are reliable and that you've seen play reliable for you this year, I think the better.
The irony there of because everyone saw it and that Brandon Cooks has really been one of the big reasons that Jalen Tolbert has matured as a player and maybe even as a person. I mean, he's a great leader for that locker room, and he took Tolbert under his wing from the very beginning. So it's kind of ironic. It's like he gets hurt, he comes back, he's like, do they even need Cooks? You got Tolbert now. It's like, man, he was a young, I'm the Jedi, and I got him up here, and now all of a sudden you're just like, you're good.
Well, the thing about it is for me,
I know you're
it's
not
good though. There's some silver lining to it too.
The thing about it for Cooks is, I think Cooks is better than what the Cowboys, than how they use him.
I agree.
I think you should be able to, if you look at his career, what he's been able to produce at every stop. I just don't think Dallas is getting that out of him, and I don't think that's about his skill level at this point. I think for whatever reason he's just not getting the same kinds of opportunities that he once did, and maybe Dallas just isn't using him in the way that he can do more things than just kind of be your guy that stretches the field. I think Kevontae Turpin can do that for you. Yeah. I think Brandon Cooks has a deeper skill level than that, and I just don't know that they're using it in that way.
Yep.
You know what's funny, Derek, that you say over and over again, I've heard, is that the usage, like Rico, Cooks, like we're not using our players to the best situation, setting them up to succeed, right?
Well, that's
which is so funny because I've heard that now. That's the same thing over and over again.
That sets up my next question. How much of the ineffectiveness of the offense do you guys attribute to the play caller? How much credit or how much of that does Mike McCarthy have to wear?
A lot. I mean, that's the preparation. We talked about it yesterday of the slow starts and to begin the game. I mean, that's what they're preparing for. And you know what? If you're going to call Schottenheimer as the offensive coordinator, he's the offensive coordinator, and he helps with the game plan. He's part of it as well because they give him that title, and it's supposed to be setting up your game plan, setting up the structure of it, and it hasn't been good enough either. So I mean, he goes up there every week with the coordinators and he talks. So he should be part of it too. Play caller, yes, but also the structure of the offense just doesn't seem like it's working right now.
And it seems like his inability to adjust to defensive schemes, I feel like I notice that a lot. But I don't think it's just McCarthy. I think there's also position coaches and the OC. I think there's a lot of responsibility that they need to evaluate across the board.
The whole staff has to wear
Yeah.
it, right? And it falls on Mike McCarthy because he is the play caller. And there are some decisions, like I completely disagreed with going away from the run in the first half. Like we talked about yesterday, after that Laporta touchdown, they ran the ball one time for no gain.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that if you're wanting to win a football game. I understand you're in a 2-score hole, but it's 2 scores. You still got 2.5 quarters of football left to play. You got to try it. I understand mixing things up, but you need to establish the run because otherwise teams are just going to drop 7-8 defensive backs back into coverage, and that's what's going to happen. The turnovers, 5 turnovers. First of all, you're not going to win a game turning the ball over 5 times, but it's extremely hard to move the ball downfield when you've got to throw against 8 guys. So, yeah, I would say play calling is a big part of it, but there's more issues than that too.
Yeah. What do you think, Derek?
Well, I mean, I think it's obviously at the end of the day, the head coach has to be accountable. The offensive play caller has to be accountable. The defensive play caller has to be accountable. Like, that's just a part of it. Like, you can't be in a position of leadership and then not be accountable for whatever happens that doesn't work, because ultimately you have some say in it. Regardless of how much say, you have some say in whatever's being done. So, yeah, I think they certainly have to. And I'm not saying anything that I don't think they would say. I think they all would agree. They have to be accountable to this as well, and they got to figure out answers. And I think that's why Mike said, I'll be here all this break, because he's got to figure it out. Like, that's a part of the job. That comes with the dinner. If you're going to be the head coach, if you're going to be the offensive guy, and the offensive unit isn't playing well, you got to figure it out. And so I think it certainly falls to him. I think it's a little grayer, though, and this is my next question. I think it's a little more of a gray area when we start talking about the defense, primarily because I think last year, the problem that we saw coming into the offseason last year was Dallas is having a hard time consistently stopping the run against really, really physical teams. Teams that have physical running games, they have a hard time doing it. We're seeing the same thing this year. I don't know how much I can attribute that to. Yes, he has to take some accountability. I don't know how much I give Mike Zimmer versus the personnel, because it starts with, I think, as we talked about a little earlier, are they being able to hold up at the point of attack? Are they not getting pushed back? Are they protecting their linebackers so the linebackers can flow to the ball and pursue? If you're not getting that from your players, I'm not sure what a coordinator can necessarily do to change that. How much of the blame do you put on Mike Zimmer for the challenges of the defense?
I think it's split between personnel and coaching, and I say that because when you look at last week against the Lions and what Mike Zimmer's talked about this week, the Cowboys are really struggling to tackle. They can't bring guys down, and you can't have one guy tackling every play, right? You need to get guys to the ball. You need to get more caps to the ball. Detroit had over 100 yards rushing after contact alone last week. You can't do that. You have to bring guys to the ground. It doesn't matter what kind of running game you're playing, how physical the opposing team is playing. If you can't tackle, then guys are going to run all over you and throw all over you. So I think that's problem number one with this defense, and because that's the run game, that's the pass game. They had over 100 yards after the catch, too, against Detroit. Or Detroit did against the Cowboys, excuse me. So it really starts with tackling, I think, for me, amongst other things like stopping the run. But if you can't get guys down, they're just going to keep running. They're going to keep scoring. This is the NFL.
Yeah, I hate to throw out all the excuses, but with the defense, with the injuries like that, it's not even an excuse anymore. It's just reality. And in that game against the Lions, I mean, I think I said it to you, Derek. I would argue their 2 best pass rushers and their 2 best run stoppers are both out of the game, and their best playmaker in the secondary in Deron Bland. Your 2 best pass rushers, I thought, were Micah and Tank, and your best run stoppers are Tank and Eric Hendricks. You lose that stuff in one game, it is tough. I mean, and that just snowballs everything. So I have a hard time just putting it all on Zimmer when Zimmer got here to do this job. And I mean, you just can't lose your top 4 defensive ends. And that's what happened. The top 4 ends are all out. And I mean, it just wipes your depth chart. And you're playing with guys that wouldn't even be in the league. There was a picture, I saw this on Twitter, y'all might have seen this, where they showed the front 7. None of these players were on this team like in the playoff game or last year. None of the 7 out there. And in the secondary, only Hooker was the only one that was there from last year. Just look at Overshown and look at Tyrus Wheat, and I mean, like, it goes on and on with Linval Joseph. A lot of these guys weren't even here at camp.
Yeah.
So it's
what do you expect, right?
I mean, Zimmer, it's a tough job, and it's his job to figure it out. But man,
it's a tough situation.
It really
is
for him. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and the continuity, like you said, to both y'all's point, the missed tackles, getting off the blocks, I mean, all those different things. I think the personnel and the coaches, and with the new defensive coordinator, I think everyone's trying to get in a rhythm. So if you've got new players and you got a new defense, I mean, everything has to kind of settle in. I mean, obviously we're in October, but still, I think that's part of it. And the injuries, their depth.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we're going to take our final break. We will come back. Interesting question I have for you guys. Who do you think the Cowboys have missed more? If you could get one of these guys back, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Deron Bland, or Eric Kendricks, who's been missed more and who they need the most? We'll talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a Pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
Okay, AT&T connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break. This is our final segment for the week. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Man, I'm looking forward to a little downtown. A little time to just sit back and relax, watch some football. Good Texas game going on this weekend.
Georgia.
And
scary.
So it'll be a good weekend. Is it?
I'm a little scared.
I ain't scared.
I'm not going to lie.
I ain't scared at all. Patrick Walker.
I like it.
I'm not scared at all.
Let's go.
Y'all have a bet or anything?
We don't bet here in the NFL.
Oh, a friendly wager, jersey bet?
There's no betting allowed in the NFL, so we don't do that.
For money.
Right.
For money. Danny McCray and I have a...
Oh, you're talking about something just like something you have to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. We could probably come up with something fun.
Talk about it.
We could come up with something fun.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. I feel pretty confident about what we got going on.
Cool.
So we'll see how it goes.
Good.
All right, let's finish this show off right. Here's my question for you guys. Who's been missed more? Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Deron Bland, Eric Kendricks.
I'll start Micah Parsons. Let me think about it. Micah Parsons.
You need more time?
No, I think he.
Final answer.
I think he just he wrecks the game when he's on his game. Now it's not always perfect with him in as far as when they're running the ball, but I think for the most part he is just a dynamic, catalytic player that they've missed. So I go with Micah Parsons there.
I'm going to be the odd man out because Mike is the easy answer, and it's the correct answer, right? All four of those players you mentioned are correct answers. But I think Eric Kendricks
That's
is
what
the
I was
guy
gonna
that
say.
you miss the most because he's your tackling machine,
Mhm.
right? Like he just sits in the middle of that defense and he just eats guys up, makes all the tackles you need. And I think that is one of, if not the most glaring issue with this Cowboys defense. If you get your leading tackler back, if you get the guy who's going to fly around and get guys to the ground, things are going to slowly but surely get easier, right? So I'm going with Eric Kendricks.
Yeah, I had Eric Kendricks as well. Obviously, all of them. But Kendricks, Green Dot, he really knows Zim's defense, so he really has great leadership as well. So I think he was really missed. And the tackling, of course. Micah, yes.
Yeah.
But I've talked about just this Lions game. I noticed a huge difference because Kendricks out.
Well, and they're both should be coming back. I don't know if Mike will be back for this 49er game, but like if you seriously though, if you're like, hey, it just came out that he's out for the season, and you're like, who? Right. The question was, if that was the question, he's out for the season. It was like Kendricks or Micah. You really? I mean,
of course, Micah.
Here's what I know. Last year,
I'd rather take my chances with Micah being here and figure out middle linebacker. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
Yeah,
but
I look at last year and I'm like the hell they were in when it came to linebackers last year. We saw what that looked like. I don't think you want to go back to that. Quite frankly, I would even say if you could give me Kendricks and DeMarcus, I'd be okay with that if I didn't get Micah back. Now, again, Micah's one of the best players in the National Football League on the defensive side of the ball. He makes plays.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I'm also thinking, like, how can I keep from getting embarrassed? Like, a lot of this was, like, in this game against Detroit, can I get a defense out there that can just hold I don't need them to be special. I don't need them to be the 85 Bears. I need them to be able to play solid defense. And I think if you give me Kendricks, you give me DeMarcus, I think that's more going to give me a solid defense. Michael will have the ability to make those splash plays, but I don't know if the defense will be as solid if I just have him and I don't have a linebacker, say, to be able to replace Eric Kendricks.
if you lost Kendricks, you'd probably lose them both because as much as he would hate it, they might have to move Micah to linebacker.
Ugh.
And
I don't
he'd
love
hate
that.
it.
Yeah, I don't love
He'd
that.
hate it, but
Yeah.
but
that's what makes Micah special is
But
that you can put him up there on the
that's
line
really
and let him
where
go
he
get the
should be
quarterback.
playing.
You think?
I think in any scheme in the NFL, he should be playing 3-4 outside linebacker.
Okay.
3-4.
There you go. There you go. That's different than middle linebacker.
No, not
Like,
middle.
hold on
Yes,
now.
okay, yeah, right.
Like, wait a minute.
Off ball? No, I'm not with that.
No, not. He'd be all right. He wouldn't be the worst, but
yes, but he's
better
like-
than Clark. I mean,
But he's not going to be. He's not. I don't think he will give you the same level of dynamic plays he makes from the defensive end position.
No, but I'll say this: that 49ers middle linebacker seems to make a lot of plays.
Yeah, he does.
Fred Warner.
Oh,
Yeah, he
he
does.
can do everything.
I think he's one of the best players in the NFL.
Same.
I agree
I
with
mean,
that.
he is
Yeah.
an outstanding player.
He's your Hall of Famer, I think.
Yeah. If he stays on track. Tommy, you mentioned something before we came on. You said even before Micah was out in Tank, how was the defense doing? You made a great point with that.
They're still struggling.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's early in the season. You're learning a new system with Mike Zimmer. That's why Eric Kendricks. I think you made a good point, Bonnie Jill, saying that he's been in Zimmer's system when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that's going to translate too, right? But that also doesn't take away from the fact that you don't want one of the best players in the league, one of the best playmakers for your defense, and one of the more veteran guys on your defensive line back, right? Like it doesn't change that fact at all.
That New Orleans game, they had everybody except for Deron Bland. So
Yeah.
maybe there's an argument to be
that the X
made
factor?
that not having Deron Bland makes a difference for this defense. Makes a
It
big
does.
difference for this defense.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. I also think that the safety position has not been as good as it has been in the past. And that could be a trickle-down effect for all of the pass rush and all that.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to play safety when it's just 1-2 throw, you know. But we've seen them, that Saints game you're talking about, I remember this the deep ball right down the middle, Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker and all that. I don't think this has been a good year for Hooker. I don't think he's played that great this season. And you know, I know there's Marquise Bell and Wanye Thomas there as the backup. I don't know if they'll make a change there, but the safety position has struggled, and I think it is a product of you know not having the pass rush like it's been in the past.
I mean, that could also be a part of not having Bland too.
Yeah.
The safeties have a little different responsibilities when you got a rookie over there. You got to kind of take care of, and there are things you got to be aware of there. So I think there's a lot of factors, and to be quite honest with you, I would be very interested in seeing what Mike Zimmer can do if he had a full contingent of players. If he didn't have, like, he's working without some of the most important players at some of the most important positions. And it just makes me wonder, like, how much better could this defense be if he had all of them out there, and we got to see that.
You're probably just getting Bland back this week. I mean, I don't know. Micah, I'm not sure.
You don't think?
We'll see. He's tough to read. Body language is really hard with him.
Yeah. There's so many times in games where he gets up from whatever happened, and you're like, is he okay? And then he's like, fine. Or they come out to get him. He's hurt. He goes over the sideline. We're like, oh, wow, what's going to happen? And then 2 plays later, he's back in there making a sack. It's just like, you never know.
I was surprised when he was even out. I was like, high ankle sprain.
He'll be all right.
Cool. He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. He'll be all right.
I mean, he's not going to miss up a chance to get sacks.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back.
I hope he's back for the 49ers.
I
think he'd want to be, too.
They need him.
Yes, they do.
It's a big week for him this week.
Yes.
I'm with y'all. And he was on the cords last week at practice. So
right. It's always a good thing.
But I don't think he looked great on the cords. But then again, he's hard to figure out. You know, he's got that one speed, and that's when he's rushing the passer.
Just so people know, when you say on the cords, he's working with trainer Britt Brown.
Right.
Doing cord work typically.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Typically, that's a sign of the return is sooner than later. So I'm not sure what happened. Then again, you know, sometimes these guys do have a little bit of setbacks. We saw it with Deron Bland. You know, it looked like he was trending to come back, and then it just didn't work. So hopefully there's no setbacks, and this is a good week for the bye to get these guys back.
All right, let's wrap up this conversation with this final big picture question. What do you need to see most from this team coming out of the bye?
Wins.
That's a loaded question, right?
What gets them to the wins? What characteristic? What thing do they need to improve on the most in order, coming out of the bye, for them to have
Getting
success
healthy
as the season goes?
He had to take away the ball. They're not
doing
getting
that at all.
They're not getting the football.
Well, Zimmer told us when he came in that was probably going to be less in this defense, but you also wouldn't be giving up big plays.
Okay. Well, all right. And they're doing that. They're giving up big plays. Big plays. So they need the ball. You know, the ball matters, as Jason Garrett used to always say. So take care of the ball.
He did say that.
Yeah.
They've got to play better at the line of scrimmage, both sides. Offensive line's got to play better. Defensive line's got to play better, because that is what sets up everything else. I talked about it yesterday. Every level of football, if you can't win in the trenches, you're not going to win a lot of football games. And that's the case here.
That's true.
Yep.
Touchdowns. I'm tired of field goals and Aubrey being our MVP. So getting in the end zone, red zone problems, all of that.
What's the biggest challenge with the red zone offense?
I think it's what Tommy just said about pushing people back. I think, you say it all the time when the ball's on the 7, 8, 9 yard line. You just don't feel like they can run the ball in, and it has to. And then that's where it gets tough.
That's when you need a run game,
yeah. And you're throwing interceptions.
Turning over the ball in the end zone. That's not,
I mean, like it's got to be. You just like to have a little bit more balance, but running the ball there, and also Jake Ferguson. That's where a tight end usually kind of comes into play, and he hasn't done that to the level that I thought he would. Maybe take that leap. He did get hurt. He's had a couple of good games. I think, though, to take it to the next level, he's got to be dominant there in the red zone, too.
I'd love to see him more in this Niners game, Ferg.
Yeah.
I think it'll make a big difference.
Yeah, I really think.
You mentioned that yesterday, too.
Yeah, I really think the run game is the piece that has been missing that makes the red zone so much harder. Is if you got guys that aren't respecting the running game, then it makes it a lot easier for them to all back out into zone and make it very, very tough for a quarterback to find an open spot.
Yep.
And I'll say this has nothing to do with the Lions. And this, I know a lot of what the Lions were doing was feel like it was jabs at the Cowboys with the tackle eligible. But that's what they do. That's the type of football that they play. Why not do that for the Cowboys? Why not have Awesome Richards earlier in the game reporting eligible? Have a little bit more. Have some defensive alignment. Whatever it takes. Big, strong guys up front. They know you're running, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I just think they need a little bit more bigger bodies in there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us.
That was fun. Thanks for having us, Derek.
It's been a fun mixed week. We make sure, real quick, everybody, you're over at Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
Yep.
Nick, you're at Storyline. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't doing that. I was just like, "What's up, Storyline?" I wasn't doing the hooks. Oh my God, he gets.
He does Storyline. If you care about that, you can't do that.
You got 3 Longhorns here, by the way.
I understand that. That's not what it was.
No,
it has nothing to do with the Longhorns.
No, it's not.
All right,
get yourself in order, man.
It's okay.
And Tommy's going to be floating around. We're going to put him on some different stuff.
We love Tommy.
We might have him come over to the break a little bit. I keep fighting with Nick. I'm trying to pull him over there, and Nick's like, he's got things to do. So maybe I'll win at some point, and I can get you over to the break a little more frequently. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back next week in our normal shows, normal times. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Tommy Yarrish, and Bonnie Jill Laflin, thank you guys for joining us. It's been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Welcome.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!